Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the spring edition of Zeiss Innovation Rocks 2021. I'm your host Pietro, and this is Rock number 3. Let's kick off this episode right away by taking a look at today's topic, which probably affects us all in one way or another. Today, we talk about medical technology, or better, about Zeiss's medical division, or maybe even better, about how Zeiss applies its industrial quality solutions to the medical sector. Sounds exciting, and I'm happy to welcome my first guest, who's going to explain this whole concept in a lot more detail. So please welcome Johannes Kohl. Hello, Johannes, and welcome.
Hello, Pietro. Thanks a lot for having me here today at the spring edition of the Innovation Rocks.
Johannes, please start by introducing yourself.
So my name is Johannes Kohl. I'm heading our global medical program at Zeiss Industrial Quality Solutions, and my team and I, we are responsible to set up a proper application and sales structure globally in order to support our customers, the needs and requirements, and to drive those needs and requirements into new business opportunities for Zeiss IQS.
Okay, cool. And what about these two things you brought?
These are one of the parts we would like to discuss today. It's an orthopedic implant. It's a femoral knee. It's basically the upper part of the knee you can see here on the right-hand side. And our today's session is about medical and orthopedics.
So the topic of today, Zeiss Medical Industry Solutions. What are we going to show our viewers?
What we are going to show, very simple. I mean, for us it's important that the people know, okay, Zeiss has their own medical business segment in place. Many customers do not know that. And we from Zeiss Industrial Quality Solutions provide then quality assurance for the highest medical standards.
Johannes, what are your customers looking for?
Our customers looking for? Very simple. I mean, they need to meet the regulatory demands. So it doesn't matter where they are in the world, be it in Asia, be it in Europe or in the United States, they have to fulfill the regulatory demands. As you can see it here with the FDA, for instance, the Food and Drug Administration in the United States. And we, metaphorically speaking, support our customers in overcoming those hurdles.
So can we say that your customers basically want certainty about regulatory requirements before even start quality assurance?
Definitely. I mean, this must be met first, in the first instance, because these regulations are in place, and they have to meet those regulations in the first instance. And at the end of the day, such part goes into human bodies, and it should remain there for decades in the best case. Yeah. And patients would like to have or rely on that, also the surgeons and the manufacturers, and this is what we are working and supporting them in doing so.
Okay, cool. So I know that you brought a video as well, right?
Correct. Actually, before I end up in a long conversation, I would like to show the video.
Okay, well then, let's have a look together at this video. Well, Johannes, I must say, this is quite impressive.
Indeed it is, and especially the content which is communicated is super important. So companies need to overcome the different hurdles, and then it's a seamless transition into the medical blue line, where we understand the customer processes from the very beginning to the end and the different quality gates.
All right, speaking of hurdles, please describe your key visual where we have this athlete full of implants jumping over these regulatory authorities.
Yes, actually, our customers need to clear the hurdle, metaphorically speaking, and we are going to support them in doing so. So you can see here also the artificial hip joint, which is in there, and this is exactly the topic we would like to discuss today.
Ladies and gentlemen, you probably can hear a loud background noise. It's because we're inside this assembly hall where people are working. Back to us, Johannes. You know, the difference between this rock and the previous ones is that in the previous ones we usually talked about performance and about efficiency. But do performance and efficiency play a role in your sector as well?
Definitely, they also play a role in our sector, but more important is that companies overcome these regulatory hurdles in the first instance. And therefore we're going to support them in doing so.
And I'm sure that Zeiss has got the fitting solutions for these requirements as well, right?
Definitely, we have basically 4 core competences we are working on. One is the hardware solutions. So starting with light microscopes over to electron microscopes to CMMs, CTs and optical scanners. We have really a broad portfolio we can offer to our customers. The second topic is the global network. So we have more than 32 sales and service units around the world. We have more than 60 quality excellence centers, with one we're going to speak later on in a couple of minutes. And then we have more than 350 application engineers who support our customers to overcome those challenges. Furthermore, we have done software solutions. Calypso and COM Volume Inspector are well known in the market and the gold standard in terms of metrology. And last but not least, 100 years experience in metrology. This is what we bring to our customers, and this is how we support them.
All right. You know what would be cool now? If you could give us a concrete example of how all of this actually works.
Actually, we talked many times about these regulatory requirements, and there's one special section from the Food and Drug Administration in the United States, which is called Code of Federal Regulations 21 CFR Part 11, better known as CFR 21 Part 11, but therefore we have a dedicated software solution available, and I would like to invite Roger Landolt as one of our experts to the stage who can give you more insights about this topic.
Okay, cool. So let's invite your colleague Roger to join us. So welcome, Roger Landolt. Hi, Roger. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Pietro. Hi, Johannes.
Hi,
Thanks
Roger.
for having me.
Roger, why don't you start by introducing yourself?
Sure. So my name is Roger Landolt. I work as a software solution manager within Zeiss Industrial Microscopy. I take care of the Zen Core software suite and in particularly on the GXP module. I'm also part of the GXP board. We support and help customers and our sales colleagues to provide solutions for the regulated industry. And maybe important or maybe interesting, before my Zeiss life, I was working as a product manager for the pharmaceutical industry and got in real contact with pharmaceutical regulated environments. Yes, and now I'm here.
Which is good. Roger, please describe how your department supports customers from the medical sector.
Medical customers, you can imagine, they have strong traceability and security requirements. If something happens during their production process, if a process is not fully followed, it needs to be documented, it needs to be mentioned somewhere. You need to rely on all your steps in detail. And therefore, within our Zen Core software suite, there is a module called GXP, and this module actually has 5 main features. And I would like to go through these 5 features briefly. It all starts with user management. User management is essential because only users with certain privileges can do certain functionality. Mm-hmm. The next main functionality is the workflow management. You need to make sure that only certain workflows are used to create your results. You need to rely on secure results. There's a release procedure in place for the workflows. The third feature is the electronic signature. So once you have your valuable data, you want to make sure that they are not modified, they are not falsified. Therefore, electronic signature is key as well. The fourth functionality is actually audit trail. Audit trail solves the traceability requirements. audit trail asks for who did what, when, and why. Audit trail can be reviewed, can be printed out, but obviously not modified. And last but not least, disaster recovery. If something goes wrong, if something breaks down, you want to make sure that you're back in production in a reasonable time. Disaster recovery does that. And now the best thing actually is that this all goes into our Zen Core software suite. And since the software runs on all our microscopes, it doesn't matter if you do metallography at the very beginning of the blue line, technical cleanliness in the middle, or roughness analysis at the end. All microscopy workflows, all tools can be made GXP compliant just by adding this module. And this actually makes us unique in the market, gives us the leverage of our whole portfolio, and the customer doesn't have to choose a solution. He comes with a problem, takes our microscope, and can make his process GXP compliant by just adding the module.
Roger, may I just ask you a question then? What makes us unique compared to other microscopy manufacturers?
Very good question, actually, because what we can offer or what we have as Zeiss, we have the broadest microscopy portfolio, and with our software suite, actually, with our solution and with this module as part of the software suite, we can apply these principles to our whole portfolio. So no matter what system our customers are using, GXP is never a problem, and this actually makes us unique in the market.
Okay, it's good to know that we are the only one who have such a solution available. Okay.
That's true.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Johannes. Roger, if there's one thing that is for sure, is that nobody would want the wrong implant inside their bodies. How can you help with that?
Actually, the product and the software is just the first step. The second step, what our customer typically asks for, is a validation process, a so-called V model. And the V model actually asks for validation activities of critical processes. It all starts with a user requirement specification. There are validation templates needed, there are test cases needed, and it all ends with a process qualification on the customer side. We as Zeiss actually provide a real end-to-end solution. It started with the product, I just explained, with the software and hardware solution, and we can also consult and help with the validation activities and actually provide the full solution, the full picture for medical and pharmaceutical customers.
Very good. Roger, thank you very much for being with us and for giving us such a comprehensive and understandable overview. Roger Landolt, Software Solutions Manager at Zeiss. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you, Roger.
Well, Roger really knows what he's talking about, and we have learned how this kind of hurdle can be surmounted. But it's not just that one hurdle, is it?
Correct. It's also then about the part itself, means the implants we would like to speak about. It's not just about the software, as we just have learned by Roger, and he explained it with the GXP module we can offer to our customers. It's also then about the challenge of the part and how to measure the application. So when we look now at our hurdler again with the different implants, starting with a dental implant, for instance, or with a shoulder implant, we would like to understand the customer processes from the very beginning to the end in order to offer the right quality solutions to our customers. So in here we can see it pretty nicely. Those are the different implants. This is the portfolio we cover as well with our quality solutions, and that's important to know for our customers.
Johannes, where can our viewers learn even more about this?
Actually, therefore, Michael Zimmermann, our head of application from medical, and his global application team has prepared a webinar, and we can have a quick look at our webinar session.
All right. Well, as this webinar is going to be as extensive as interesting, let's have a look at the short teaser.
Thanks, guys, for the warm welcome and for introducing our webinar. I really appreciate it. So, in our webinar session, we will talk about the entire suite of our CMM, CT, visual, and microscopy systems. Furthermore, I want to take you on the journey through our complete medical orthopedic blue line and want to give you an insight of each of its quality gates. Here, we will focus on the femoral from the knee implant, and I want to show you all the quality gates along the whole manufacturing process. The good thing is, we as Zeiss have a wonderful solution for each of these quality gates. So it will be a terrific journey, which you definitely shouldn't miss, and I'm really looking forward to having you with me in the webinar. Back to you guys.
Well, thank you very much. Looks like a bright portfolio in this webinar, and it's kind of reassuring to know that you can control each and every step of an implant before it actually ends up in the human body.
Definitely, indeed, that is the case, and therefore we have also implemented the blue line in one of our latest quality excellence centers in Wixom, Michigan, United States. And the US are by far the most important medical market for us at Zeiss Industrial Quality Solutions, and therefore I would like to hand over to my colleague Scott Lowen. He's our expert in the United States.
Okay, well then let's connect with Scott Lowen, which is in Wixom, Michigan. Hello and welcome, Scott. Welcome to the Zeiss Innovation Rocks.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Well, Scott, you are currently inside a Zeiss demo center, and we were just told by Johannes that you already have a complete blue line at your disposal. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. I am at one of our new Quality Excellence Centers in Wixom, Michigan, that was just completed last year. The area next to me is dedicated towards our medical solutions. To help explain and provide an overview of those solutions, we use this medical blue line to illustrate how we support the different quality gates in manufacturing, from the raw materials to the finished parts. We have a broad portfolio of hardware and software solutions. If we go to the beginning of the blue line, we have microscopes to analyze the raw material, over to 3D scanning with computer tomography systems for inspection of the primary shapes. Next to that, 3D scanning with coordinate measuring machines, and we can use the incoming inspection parts that are supplied. We have in-process control, often using light or electron microscopy for applications like technical cleanliness or finding particle contaminations. Then we have geometric dimensioning, again with 3D scanning and coordinate measuring machines. And then from there, surface analysis for defect detection using our surface informed machines or even microscopes.
Well, that's quite impressive. That's what one would call a very wide range of devices. But please tell me, how does it actually work? Could any customer just come by and have his implants measured by you guys?
Yes, of course, either in person or even virtually. With such a large country, we actually set up a sales and support network so we can be as close to our customers as possible. For example, we have 5 other quality excellence centers similar to this location with dedicated applications and measuring services to support those customers across the country, from Massachusetts on the East Coast to California on the West Coast. In addition, we have over 200 Zeiss sales representatives for consultation and demonstrations, and over 20 channel partners across the US and Canada. And of course, we even have a dedicated medical team that is continuously focusing on developing, educating, and supporting those advancements of metrology in that medical industry.
Okay, Scott, thank you very much for being with us, and thank you for showing us everything.
Okay, and thank you, and bye from Michigan.
That was Scott Lowen in Wixom, Michigan. Now we connect to another regional expert. He's at the Zeiss Quality Excellence Center in Rugby, which is in the United Kingdom, and his name is David Shute. Hello and welcome, David.
Hi, Pietro. Thank you for the introduction.
David, I see you're not alone. Who's the gentleman next to you?
Yes, I have the pleasure of being here today with David Torr. David Torr is Head of Metrology for Reliance Precision. Reliance Precision are a global leader in the area of research and development, covering many areas of application, including space, aerospace, medical science, and life sciences. The 2 areas today that we want to look at are medical science and the life sciences.
So, hello and welcome, David Torr. David, how did you and David Shute get to know each other?
We were introduced around about 10 years ago when Reliance were looking for a new high-accuracy CMM. We were owners of a very well-known other brand of CMM, and we wanted to change our direction in CMM measurement. So we were introduced basically through demos of Zeiss technology.
All right. David Shute, I know that you have prepared some questions for your guest, so feel free to go ahead.
David, with Reliance Precision working in the cutting edge area of research and development, are you able to share with us some of the quality challenges that you've had?
Yeah, sure. I've got a really interesting story that we can go through. Basically, we were developing a product, a high precision component for the clinical research industry. This component was manufactured, assembled, and more importantly, validated on site. And during the validation process, we noticed some defects on the surface of this component. Now, the surface was a very high precision machine surface that we were trying to aim for a tolerance of around about 1 micron. And we actually noticed these defects when we were going through the development phase. We were having problems with testing, and one of the things we did was we looked at it under a microscope to see what the surface was looking like. We actually used a Zeiss STEMI microscope for that, and we actually noticed some regular interruptions, some little indents in the surface of the component. And this led us to want to look into this a little bit more, but at that time we didn't have any way of measuring the defects. So we weren't able to tell whether these defects were going to be causing a performance issue with the component in the assembly. So we really needed to investigate that further.
Okay, very interesting. So can you give us a little bit more detail on how Zeiss helped you out with this?
Yeah, so in one of our regular meetings that we have, we were talking about this particular problem and looking at ways to measure it. We have a motto at Reliance: if you can't measure it, you can't make it. So we wanted to understand this defect and try and work out if we needed to remove it, if it was going to be causing us a problem. So we were in discussion, and we were talking about a new system that Zeiss were developing that may be able to help us out with this measurement task.
Okay. And can you share with us what the next steps were after you were told that this new piece of equipment may be available?
Yeah, so we actually came down for a demonstration here to the centre of a new piece of equipment called the SmartProof 5, brand new out on the market. We had a great demonstration, really blown away with the level of technology in the system, and the fact it was fit for manufacturing. It could go inside the manufacturing area, which was really a critical point for us. And we had the demonstration, we did some sample measurements, and actually it led to us purchasing a machine. And we ended up becoming the first UK industrial customer for the SmartProof 5. So we were involved in the beta testing, which was really great from a point of view of the problem we were having at the time.
Okay. Having worked through and got over all of these different hurdles and come to the stage whereby you had a robust quality solution, can you share with us what the final outcome was?
Yeah, so we actually took the machine when we got our delivery of our machine. We installed it. We were actually working with Zeiss again in partnership, working on the software. At that time, it was in the very early development phases, so we're working on usability, that type of thing. But we're also alongside this investigating the problem. So what we were able to do was actually measure the size of the defect. And we actually found out that it was an indentation that was around about 0.5 micron deep, and it was exactly where the CMM probe was probing. So what actually happened in that case was we thought the part was a micron smaller than it actually was. So this was causing us a problem in our development and testing. So with the SmartProof, we were able to use the standard settings within Calypso and some tooling to be able to do some experiments. And then we were able to measure the outcome of them experiments on the SmartProof and ultimately remove this effect from the surface of our component.
Okay, and through this complete process, Zeiss worked very closely with you.
It did, yeah. So I call it a partnership. I called it a partnership at the beginning. That's exactly what I hoped for when we joined together. It's not just about providing solutions. Anybody can provide machines. It's about the whole package, right from the sales team right down to the engineers that come on site. And I think that's where we've seen the most benefit in these development process.
So sharing these insights with us today. And Pedro, I hope you and the audience have got a much better insight into how Zeiss works closely with their customers in finding those perfect quality solutions. Back to the studio.
Well, thank you very much, David and David, for your contribution to this rock, and best of greetings to the UK. Johannes, this has been a very comprehensive Rock, and I would like to thank you for giving us an overview of your important sector. To wrap this whole thing up, and before saying goodbye, I would like to ask you for a final comment.
First of all, thanks a lot again for having us today at the spring edition of the Innovation Rocks. And now we would like to welcome our customers to transfer to the webinar session, where Michael Zimmerman and our application team has prepared now the medical blue line and the different quality gates.
Johannes, thank you very much for being with us for Rock number 3, which has unfortunately come to its end. Right after this, the webinars will start. You already know the drill. Just click on the button to register and join in. My name is Pietro. Thanks a lot for watching, and I see you next week with Rock number 4. Thank you and bye-bye.